All right, Allison, let's do a lesson on taking pictures of buildings. And in this case, it is the Houston LDS temple. You got the Airstream back there, or parked. Here's the thing, I've been here for over an hour. I did my walkabout and I'm like, hey, I've got some fun ideas that I can share about taking pictures of buildings. So I'm gonna give you a bunch of tips on taking pictures of buildings. Yay? Okay. Okay, first off, I've got the tripod because when I got here, it was still pretty dark. At this point, I really don't need the tripod because I can get up to about F9, F10, where my camera is the sharpest. I've got enough depth of field. I don't really have much of a foreground that I need to like make the foreground in focus and the background out of focus. So I'm just looking for like F9, F10, which is basically the sharper area of this particular lens. So I had the tripod because when I was at F9, F10, that meant the shutter speed was down at like, you know, it was down at like 1/10 of a second. When I first started, it was like 1 second. So obviously I can't handhold that, and therefore I had the tripod. Right now I could take it off, but I just wanted to show you guys that I had the tripod. And it was helping me for what I tend to do a lot these days, and maybe some of you guys do it. Some of you guys, if you have Lightroom, you can do it pretty easily, and that is panoramas. So I'll grab this, I'll make it level. I have like a little leveling base. I'll talk about that in some other video maybe. And then I'll go picture, 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 picture. But most importantly, I get right in the middle, and sometimes some of these places have a nice little convenient line showing you the perfect symmetry, right? So here we go. And sometimes you could do a panorama like this. Boom, 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 with a little overlap. And then I can get a big view of this. Or you get a really wide angle. I have like a 24 is the widest I have here. So that's not really available. I mean, this right here is almost 24 in perspective. 14 will go out to here, so you can get quite a bit. And then you got to be able to back up, you know, far. And sometimes you can't because there's stuff there. So here we go. And another tip is you think about like, do I include this sort of thing? I got to include it all, or do I just go like this and kind of, stop short of that. Okay, and then another tip is getting down low, perhaps waiting for distractions. There's Allison talking to a friend, apparently she knows, and so there's a little distraction. But a big part of taking pictures of buildings is the symmetry. I know we talk a lot about rule of thirds in photography, but it's pretty difficult to get the rule of thirds in some of the thirds with architecture type pictures, right? Because if you put the building off too far to the side, like on the third, then it's got these funky, like, see how they're kind of leaning lines? They're pretty difficult. So if you go back way far off in the distance, and then you could put the building on the third, and then it won't have these slanting lines that make it difficult sometimes. But building photography, there's a lot of distractions that can happen sometimes. People, cars driving past. So there's a little bit of waiting involved. So when I got here this morning, what I was looking for, what I tend to look for in buildings is to make the building, well, to wait for that time of the day that it's the best. What I want is the building to stand out amongst the sky. And for that, the best thing is when the building it stands, if it's lighter than the background. Right now, not so much. That's why I'm filming and not taking pictures. So early in the morning, especially if the building is lit up, if it's dark, then it's harder. If the building is lit up like a lot of these LDS temples, then it will stand out when it's a little bit darker, but not black skies. Black skies aren't that exciting. So I wait for the twilight morning blue skies. Even when it's cloudy, you'll get some blue skies, and this will light up. And that'll be great. Another thing is avoiding distractions. You can get a little bit lower, and you can make, you can bring out some of these highlights. So what is this building known for? The doors, the arches, the top of the temple here, the steeple, the statue on the top, the grounds, these flowers. Focus on them, like get a close shot with this stuff in the backdrop. That's a good shot, right? Or this fountain, you can get over there and get down low and focus on the fountain somehow. Get closer or get up high so you can get the whole fountain and like a little panorama like that. Okay, I think we're just gonna leave the camera behind because the discussion about photographing a building doesn't require, like you're looking at the camera right now, doesn't require this to teach you everything. Here, I tend to just use kind of a wide angle that can zoom in a bit, because when you zoom in, you change the compression. I know that may not be totally understood to everyone. And the problem with that, though, is that you're going to have to maybe do more panoramas or get back far. So look for, the easier the building is it has the bigger grounds. So the bigger grounds, the easier the building is to photograph, because then you have more options. You're not just always wide angle. You can get way back and then zoom in and compress things and kind of, it makes it easier. Right, Allison? Did you meet your friends? All right. So when I first get to a building like a temple like this, I tend to do like a walkabout, stalk the building. I go around it. I get there. I like getting there before, for sunsets. That's my favorite for the first time I photograph a building, because I can get there in the middle of the day, do my walkabout, and I'm like, these aren't the main pictures. These are just the test pictures. And I get a good sense of it. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of cars here and signs and distractions and security or light poles that are going to light it up later. That's great, but they're in the way here. So let's walk around and see what we got. And I think, I mean, if I'm going to focus on just pictures of the spire, that's why you got a little more zoom in. I'm like, well, right here, maybe. No, it's winter and these trees are a little bit dead and it's a little dense there through the pine trees anyways, so let's keep going. Explore the little avenues. I mean, you don't even need a camera for this part, or at least not on a tripod. You're just going fast and you're like, ooh, look at this little pathway leading towards this. What I tend to like is straight angles, because remember the whole rule of thirds thing, and if you go off to the side, look how it kind of looks leany. It's going to be even more pronounced the wider the angle it is. So straight on, straight from the front was like the epic shot. Most people know it. They come in, they see this building. Let's just be honest, not a lot of people are actually going to buy pictures of buildings or post pictures of buildings too much unless it has like some sort of meaning to them. Like Allison has one on her screen right now on her phone. How exciting that I took. That's fun. Because it has meaning. So you're looking for buildings that have meaning, or unless it's like, real estate, someone's trying to sell a building, that sort of thing. There's also pictures like that. So the areas that people are used to, maybe this isn't necessarily an area that they're used to, or it could be unique areas, so kind of, the normal ones or the not normal ones. So either way. Anyways, so we've got the straight on there, but we got a straight on one here, but we would probably want to do a vertical and just get this portion, because you can't really see all that portion. These aren't that great at the moment. Maybe if they were like full of flowers, then you'd want to get a bunch of them. So straight on. Leading lines are great. Boom, leading towards that. Let's keep on a walk. Okay, so think outside the box, walk around and get to places maybe most people don't normally go. I mean, no one's on this side. Distraction, that's kind of difficult. So if you go over to the side though, you can kind of avoid that. So your picture may end up right here without it. Okay, now we're around to the back side and you've got some big trees to contend with. And I recognize not a lot of architecture you can go fully around it. Sometimes you only have one angle, and we're not doing the inside architecture. We're talking about that in this case. But when we're over here on this side, we are looking for, I think back here, just primary little windows maybe that we could shoot through to get the spire. All right, not many windows to shoot through, but we're on the back side. See, here's the thing about this. The spire here is on the other side. So the closer we get, watch it, the less of this spire we're going to get. So that's unfortunate, but we do have a problem, is that this is right in the middle. So we could get back really far, but that's going to be right in our way. So we could get back far enough to get the spire. Well, we're going to run out even here because that tree is going to start to cover up the spire. But that could be a fun little shot with it just kind of nicely nestled in this little corner right here. Boom. The other thing is, if people like certain aspects of the building, you can focus on those things, like this window in particular. Going right over, and for me, I'll notice, and a lot of people may subconsciously notice, is that there are certain things to help you figure out if you are perfectly centered. So look at the distance between that one and that one. Will help you see if you're perfectly centered. There's a problem though, you got this thing, which looks all right, kind of in the middle of nowhere with a bush that's all dead except for like 10 leaves. Anyways, oh hey, babushka, you got your little scarf on. Okay, so we are going to find some more windows to kind of shoot through. This is kind of a fun one here. You can see a little bit more of the spire and tell that it's not just this little thing popping out at the top. You can also take a moment to photograph a few other things like little paths and trees and loud vehicles. Let's turn this off for a second. Okay, a lot of people will get, oh, I love this building, I'm gonna go, like, I gotta take a picture, so I gotta get up real close. But the closer you get, like, the less of the scene that you really get. You can get some different angles and different views, and however, you know, if you do this, boom, people are like, I don't know what building that is, because they're so used to that front view that we saw earlier, and then you're like, oh, that's really awkward right there. So come at different times of the season, because then you may have leaves on your tree instead of like in winter. Oh, and people will love certain, like I said, certain aspects of different buildings, even if they're not necessarily in the building and the building's not even seen. You can get like little close-ups of that, as do little montages of different aspects of the building. Like, here's the fountain, here's a chair, here's the walkway, here's the plants, here's the birds that were there, all that sort of thing. Oh, look here, you can get some silhouettes and stuff like that. We came on a day that was pretty cloudy, to be honest. It's Houston. It's almost always cloudy. Every time I've come to this building, it's been difficult. So, but whatever. It's not like I'm bitter or anything. Okay, what other tips do I have? Wait maybe for breaks in the sky, because like I said earlier, we tend to like this brighter with some darker in the background. One thing that does happen is that cloudy skies are very white, as we know. It's sometimes dark, so sometimes that helps. But blue skies help create contrast, especially if it's like a white building. So white on blue will still look great. So you can come out in the middle of the day and you know, patchy blue skies or blue skies, and you'll have a certain look to it, like bright blue, shiny day, and you'll elicit a certain type of feel and everything. The one thing that is great about a nice, like a rainy sort of day, is that you, on certain surfaces, will get nice little reflections. So let's see if we get one here. Not quite as much, but certain reflections, and then you could have like the building reflected on this down here, but then you got like the lines aren't super awesome. Anyways, here we go. I think that's about it. Oh, I could show you getting out far off there. We'll zoom in. I was over there on the other side of the car. The car wasn't really a factor because I was shooting above it and getting everything, except that there's this lamp post. If you could see it, that's smack dab in the middle. And I talked to one of the security guards here, and he was like, yeah, we took some cool pictures without it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, we unbolted it and laid it down so we could take pictures. So that was pretty cool. I think I mentioned the flowers and everything, and shooting from the angles using like leading lines. I don't know if I showed that one, but so you can come from the angles and use this like street leading towards the building. I tend to like photographing straight on or directly from the corner. A lot of symmetry in pictures, line it up perfectly. If you look for little things to say, oh, am I lined up? Oh, go over to the side so that it's equal on this side and this side. And shooting through things in little windows to focus on certain points of it. And the bigger the grounds, the easier it's going to be. One of my spots for this here is coming over here. So you've got one shot here, leading lines to the temple, a little off-centered, and then obviously come straight at the center and make sure it's perfectly lined up, that is equal to that on that side. Okay, I think we're about lined up. And maybe avoiding this area, which isn't really that attractive, and starting right there, panorama, or just do vertical, which I am not going to show you because then you'd go dizzy or something. And don't forget to always like try different angles. There you go. Or get up real high, get up on someone's shoulders, and then you can try this one as well. So go from that leading sidewalk to this one. In any case, let's see if Allison has any questions for us.
No.
Did you learn anything?
I learned so much.
So much? How much?
About this much.
That much, folks. How much did you learn? This much? Or that much? And do you want more of these? And drop a message. Maybe I'll do more videos like this, especially if you're a patron on patreon.com. I would love, like, they're going to be first priority, so if they have a comment or a question, maybe I can do a little short video and do a straight upload to YouTube with my thoughts. This is certainly not a short video, so I might as well ramble on, so you know. And if you have any other suggestions and ideas to what I may have missed as I walked around, I feel pretty good about what I shared there. So. All right, last view. Tell us what you think. And go to, it's Patreon, patreon.com/Jarvie. I approve this message.